What's going on, everybody? We are back with the Real Bodybuilding Podcast, episode number 18. And I've had a lot of questions about relationships and how to be in a relationship when you're dieting and all these other things. So instead of you guys hearing it from me, I brought on two IFBB pros that are in a relationship together and are married and have been able to make it work. So we're going to ask them if you guys want to say hello.
Hey, thanks for having us, man.
Melissa, are you there? Okay, so I got you guys both here. I want to ask you guys some stuff first. So Melissa, I know you took some time off recently.
Yes.
And I didn't, I don't know if maybe I wasn't paying attention to the captions in your posts enough, but I just know that you took some time off. Do you want to get into why you took some time off?
I mean, you haven't missed anything. I don't think I really was specific about the time off because there wasn't honestly a real reason for the time off.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't planned. It wasn't on purpose. It was almost a bit of a, I don't want to say mental breakdown, but like I lost something in my focus, in my drive that that kind of prevented me from moving forward with my competition season this year. And sorry, go ahead.
No, I just want to ask, was it a break from competition or was it a break from social media or was it just a break from everything?
Oh God, it was everything. It was the gym. It was social media. It was competing. It was dieting. It was like, I feel like I lost myself for a bit.
Yeah.
And I don't think I coped very well. And instead of kind of what I normally do is like I cope and I push myself and I move on. I kind of isolated myself for a few months and wasn't in the gym. I wasn't on social media. I wasn't seeing my friends. I wasn't present for my husband. Like there was a lot of things going on that kind of made me realize that I needed to look inside and figure out what was going on and figure out how to fix it and kind of learn from it. So the next time anything happens like this again, I don't get so far deep into that.
Yeah.
That I did to myself.
I don't know if I know exactly what you're talking about, but I've had periods in my career where I was like, I just want to shut it all down.
Yeah.
Usually for me, it lasts like 3 days and then I kind of shake myself out of whatever funk I'm in.
Yeah.
Obviously you're talking about something more dramatic than that, but
I mean, I've had things post show that have lasted probably, I don't know, 4 weeks.
Yeah, a couple weeks.
You know, like shitty post show blues, things like that. But like,
yeah.
I honestly think this happened to me at the end of my year last year.
Okay.
Iain called it an adrenaline dump after my last year, after the wedding. And I think to fix that in my head, I was like, well, I'm going to apply for the Arnold and then I'm going to prep for that. And instead of fixing what was going on with me, it actually made it worse.
Yeah.
So
and then it was kind of like one led to the next. Then obviously because you were doing it to fix something, then it just led to a very miserable Arnold prep, which resulted in a miserable showing, which then exasperated the original issue, which then kind of led to this last.
So wait a minute, let me back you guys up. So you did the Olympia. How'd you do at the Olympia?
I came 12th.
Okay, and then after the Olympia, you guys got married not long after that, right?
A month later, almost to the day, yeah.
And then everything was fine. And then after you got married, you kind of like hit a wall a little bit.
I was just like, I feel like I was searching for something.
So is this Iain's fault then?
I'm not gonna lie, I was really scared to even talk to him about it because I was like, oh my God, he's gonna think like, fuck, I just married him and now
you can swear. You can swear. It's okay. Go on.
Okay. Good. But I didn't want him to take it personally, and it's hard to explain when you're in this mental state like that. You almost don't understand what's going on yourself, let alone you trying to explain it to your partner.
Yeah. So, and I guess so. Then after that, you decided to push through and do the Arnold.
Well, Iain coaches me, right?
Yeah.
So I spoke to him about it. I was like, what do you think about me applying for the Arnold? He's like, well, I think you'll get in this year. He's like, do I think it's a good idea? No, I think you need a break.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, I'm good. And he was like, okay, I think you should like think about it for a week and then revisit it. And I think within that week, I honestly applied anyways.
Yeah.
And I decided to do it. And he obviously supported me, but I think he knew that it wasn't.
I just knew you weren't in the right mental frame of mind to like, you know, to begin an undertaking like that. And I think after and I could tell that she was doing it for the wrong reasons. And I think it was a lot because the year prior she had applied for the Arnold and didn't get accepted.
Yeah.
Well, I think this year it was like she had a big year. She won Tampa Pro, which was a huge show. She was, what you did 5 shows, you were in the top 3 or 4 every show.
Yeah.
You improved on your placing from the previous year. Then we got married. Like, there's so many things. And then it was like, okay, let's just take some time, let your mind relax, get back to kind of square one, just like, let's chill for a bit here and then maybe make that decision. I think she was just kind of riding the high. And I think also kind of as like a vendetta to like, redeem herself for not getting, into it the year prior, and not really because she wanted to do it, for anything more than just that. Right.
So did you follow through and go through with it, or did you just sit back and take a break?
No, she did it.
I did it.
Okay. Sorry. I'm sorry if I don't know.
No,
I'm glad you don't know, because I'm extremely embarrassed about not placing.
Well, you weren't happy with your look. You weren't happy with the place. Where did you place?
Dead last.
Dead last.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't your.
No, I think it was the worst I've ever looked. Amateur, pro, anything. The worst
Yeah.
I've ever.
Well, I think a lot of people don't realize that. People think you just pick a show and you decide to do one for fun, or you decide to do one because you think it's easy or because it's glamorous or whatever show it is. But I don't think people realize that once, like you guys know, but I don't think the fans realize that once you lock into a show, your whole mindset has to click over to like this entirely different place. And like you said, you weren't there, so you're not going to be able to bring your best, obviously.
I also, like, I'm the type of person that I'm not going to commit to something and back out. Like,
Yeah.
I also didn't even think of that as an option.
Mhm.
As soon as I applied and was accepted, I didn't even send in my form. I was like, well, you were accepted, you better go. This is
Yeah.
this, you better respect that and go. And I forced myself to prep, and then I started seeing people dropping out for personal reasons, and I was like, was this even an option? Like, could I have actually? But I'm not that type of person. Now looking back, maybe it would have been better, but
Yeah.
I don't think I could ever drop out of a show.
I used to think like you until I forced myself to do one, and I had the same result. I found in my career I've had like 2 or 3 shows that I forced myself to do based on whatever reason, and they're always the worst shows for me.
Yeah.
So I learned now that if I'm not ready, if I'm not mentally there, I'm not doing it. Like I'll back out. Like if it's too close, I'm not going to back out. But like in your situation, like 10 weeks out, something like that, I would have been like, you know what, it's not for me.
Well, it's funny too, because looking back, I think if I had backed out of the show, I wouldn't have missed this whole season. Because I decided to push through, and then it compounded on the way I was feeling before. I missed this whole year, right? Like I didn't step on stage once. So there's a bit of regret there, and I don't think I've ever really felt that way. Like I don't think I've ever even said out loud that I have regrets, but that for sure it's a regret, 100%.
You're still, how old are you guys?
28.
Oh, you're still, it doesn't matter if you miss a year, man. You're 28.
I'm sure next year I'll probably be like, oh, it doesn't matter. But like right now, seeing people go to the Olympia and like knowing that I want to and could and should be up there, it's hard. It's like home,
Yeah.
But,
So Iain, I noticed something about your social media this year.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of hid away for a long time in the off season. Was that on purpose or no?
I mean, I did, especially like beginning into my prep into Toronto Pro. And I find for me, especially for the first show of the year, like I get into my head looking at the other guys competing too much, and I think into it way more than I should, and I let that kind of dictate. And I've already placed myself in the show before I've even got on stage. I look at the guys that are doing the show and I'm like, oh, I can beat this guy. I can't beat this guy. I can beat this guy. I'm sure we all do it, but sometimes I let that like really dictate my prep. And I feel like if I know I'm not going to win the show, then I put less than, optimal, energy into it, both mentally and physically.
I don't know about that.
No, but I think I let it defeat me. And I think this year when I was just like, I'm just not going to play that game at all. I'm not going to look at it. I'm just going to do my prep and just, focus on me. And I mean, that showing didn't end up being great. I mean, I came second, but it wasn't like a stellar lineup by any means. It was, I think it was probably a detriment, honestly, when I look back at it. I think I should have been more present and, kept playing my game like I was, and just doing my thing and not worrying about everybody else. But But at the time that was kind of my mindset. Yeah.
Well, it's almost like you avoid.
It is. It's an avoidance.
It's like avoidance, right? Like I don't want to show people. I don't really want to look.
And it's also like I don't want to hear people's feedback and criticism, and if it like puts me back mentally, like if I put up a picture and like one guy makes a comment like, oh, like he looked better last year. Oh, something's like then my whole fucking like I'm too mentally weak.
He's extremely affected by these like bullshit social media.
I think it'll get easier for you as you get older. So what I hear from you is almost like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's almost like a little bit of self-sabotage. Like like what you were saying about if you think you're going to lose the show, you might not work as hard. I don't know if you're not working as hard, but is it almost like yourself?
I think I give, I'll rephrase that. I think I give 120% into every show I do.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever given a subpar effort in terms of like, my training or slacking on my diet or like anything. I've never cheated on diets. I never missed training, like nothing like that. I'm just saying like my will in terms of like, I already know I'm not going to win, and it's just like I'm mentally defeated before I even step on stage.
I know what you mean. It's almost like it's almost like a feeling you have inside. You're not like you said. I'm the same way. I'm not going to skimp on my diet. I'm not going to skimp on my training. But if I'm doing the Olympia, like when I did the Olympia in 2008, I know I'm not going to win.
No,
it's not the same feeling going to a show when you know you have a chance of winning versus when you know you're going to be like 10th to 15th or something like that. You know what I mean?
And Toronto was, and see, I'd had that mindset in the past, and Toronto was a show I really thought I could win this year.
You were faking it though.
What does that mean?
Like, that like mindset when people are like, I'm going in to win?
Yeah.
Iain was saying that.
Yeah.
It was like I was trying to convince
he
myself.
He didn't believe it.
I've been there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So instead of like there's three things. You can either actually be the person that goes into every show believing they can win, and probably that's the optimal way to think.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
There's also lying to yourself and saying it and not believing it. And then there's also the people that are like, oh, I'm just going in it to have fun or whatever, right?
Well, there's a fourth. There's me. The fourth is me. I don't go in and say I'm going to win. I don't say I'm going in for fun. I'm just like, look, I'm bringing the best thing I can bring, and the judges are going to decide. I don't ever play that game where I'm like, I'm going to win. I don't like being that guy.
Yeah.
Because then it adds, like, for me, I don't deal with pressure very well sometimes.
Yeah.
So if I put something out in public, like, oh, I'm going to kill this show, I'm going to beat everybody.
Yeah.
Now I have an added pressure that wasn't there before.
Yeah.
So I play the game where I'm just like, I'm going to look my best, and then that pressure's not there. No one's.
And I think that's why Toronto, like that, after that loss was like so much harder because I'd set that pressure on myself,
Yeah.
And even if it was like a fake pressure to kind of convince myself, like she's saying, it was still built up there. And I think, same thing, you get into the social media hype of everyone saying Iain's going to win the show, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
And I start to believe it a lot myself. And then, I let that take control again. And then when I didn't win, when I came second to John, it was just like, it really fucking stung.
Well, you also weren't, you knew you should have looked
better. No,
I
knew my look. I knew I was not at my best for that show, 100%.
Yeah.
I looked much better for showings later in the year. But it was, still it is what it is. And I showed up with what I showed up with, and I can't be like, oh, if I'd showed up better, it's like, well, I didn't. I didn't show up better, and John beat me, and that 2019 Toronto Pro's over, and I lost.
But listen, so it's harder to come second when you look at yourself and you should have looked better. If you come second and you look at yourself and you're like, shit, I look amazing.
You know what the hardest thing is when you take second and you should have took first. Yeah. But you're right. Once you run into that, then you're going to be really pissed off.
I've been there a couple times, to be honest.
And see, like the thing is, when I did Vancouver, I came fourth in Vancouver, but I was very happy with how I looked. Or like Tampa, where I came third, I was extremely happy with how I looked. And even though it wasn't a second place like it was in Toronto, based off the lineup and based off how I looked, I was ecstatic with those placings.
Yeah.
The place meant nothing. I could have been 14th, and maybe if I'd been 14th, I would have cried. But I'm saying, the placing was more secondary than the look.
Yeah.
Where in Toronto, the look was secondary to the placing, and I let that kind of take control of me, right?
I know what you mean. I'm like that too. You always want to put your best foot forward.
Yeah.
And you work so hard in the gym for those 12 or 16 weeks or whatever leading up to it. So if that last day you're like 5% off, you're like, it feels like it was all wasted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like, I worked so hard and I missed it by like that sliver.
Yeah.
So I understand what you mean. So, okay, explain to me this. How does it feel? And I'm not trying to like this. I just really want to know how you feel about it. So you looked amazing at Tampa. I thought that was your best look. How did you feel when you missed your Olympia qualification, and how many points did you miss it by?
I missed by 1 point.
It's all Luke's fault.
It's Dexter's. Well, I guess it's Luke or Dexter's. If Dexter hadn't shown up, Luke would have won. Luke would have been off the points. I would have qualified.
That's right.
Or if Luke had just beat Dexter, then yeah, I would have been either way. I mean, there was a couple scenarios like that. I mean, Portugal was a nightmare too. I mean, there was a couple that were like, I can look back and be like, if things had gone a little bit different, I could have got there. I have very mixed feelings about the season. I mean, I had 2 showings I was very happy with, Vancouver and Tampa I was very happy with. And then I had 2 like Toronto and Portugal I wasn't so happy with. So it was kind of like mixed feelings. But it's, missing the Olympia, obviously. I think it would have been worse if I'd ended my season. And this is why I did Tampa to end with. Like, I knew the circumstances had to line up so perfectly for me to qualify at that point. I knew, because Lucas was doing the show and Luke, and they were both ahead of me in points, that I'd have to beat blah, blah, blah. There was so many contingencies that had to happen, right?
Yeah.
So that was really, I didn't do Tampa to qualify for the Olympia. I mean, in my mind, that was just like, I'm not qualifying. If I do, that's awesome. If I don't, that's kind of what I expected. It was really like after Portugal, man, I had such like a feeling of like unrest and distaste. Like I couldn't end my season like that. If I went and hung myself in it up after that, this season would have just felt like such a sour taste in my mouth. And I don't think I could have like had that focus going into the off season, that I really needed,
Yeah.
So that's really why I did Tampa, and I think because I ended on a good showing and a good placing and a really good show, it kind of eased that blow of not qualifying for the Olympia. Mm-hmm. But like I said, if I'd ended with Portugal, it would have been shit. But, but I think it made it a little better. I mean, it's honestly, after doing those 4 shows, I know this might sound like a selfish thing because like the Olympia is what the whole point of this is in a lot of ways. I think if I'd qualified, I think like mentally after Tampa, I was just done,
Yeah.
Like I think I would have felt like I wouldn't have been better at the Olympia than Tampa. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think my mind was in it the same at that point. It kind of sucks too, because like I look at the lineup this year and I think I could have done decent. I think I could have improved on my 14th from last year. I think I could have been in that, 8 to 12 spot.
Yeah.
And I think that would have been an improvement. But I mean, like we said earlier, like I'm 28. This isn't going to be the last time I qualify for the Olympia. Yeah. There'll be other opportunities, and just that I, ended on that good note, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good point. I did 3 shows in 2015, and when I won Orlando and I won Vancouver, and they were like, "Are you gonna do the Olympia?" And I planned to, but then I did Tampa Bay, and by the time I was done Tampa Bay, I'm like, I don't got it anymore. Like, I think people think it's easy to just keep doing show after show after show, and like when I see you do 4 shows, I'm like, that's not only physically draining, but it's mentally draining.
Yeah, and I think physically, I was fine. I felt healthy. I felt good. My training was good. I felt everything. It was honestly the mental aspect, and it was especially after, a couple of the shows like Portugal and Toronto that kind of like sucked the will out of me a little bit, And I just knew that I needed I wanted to go back to the drawing board. I wanted to end it on a good note, go back to the drawing board, improve, and come back next year and just feel confident about going into that season, Yeah. So I think it was just I was just ready to hang it up at that point, mentally for sure.
So how do you guys deal with this thing emotionally together? So Melissa's going through a little bit of a period where she's backed out of the sport, and you're doing 4 shows. So you're kind of like on opposite ends of the spectrum. So how is married life during that time? Is Melissa able to, Melissa, are you able to not kind of worry about your problems and still be there for them? Or are you guys just doing your own things?
I mean, I don't think couples ever do their own things.
Me and my wife have.
Okay. I don't think we've never really been there. I think,
I don't mean it for one sec. Sorry to interrupt. I don't mean it in a bad way. Like, my wife gets so busy with work sometimes that if I'm prepping for a show, I'm prepping by myself.
Yeah.
You know, she's not there to like cheer me on or like cook my food or like do any shit like that. It's just I'm getting ready for a show and she's working full time doing her thing, and we have our own separate lives. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I mean.
I mean, I'm sure Iain probably felt a little bit of absence from me, especially in terms of the cheerleader aspect. And like, I wasn't going to the gym with him every day. We weren't doing cardio in the morning every day. I wasn't super driven.
Yeah.
So I think he probably was like watching me be like that, and he felt completely opposite in terms of his goals and his drive, and I'm sure it was frustrating. But,
does that and I'm sorry if this is getting too deep. You guys can like stop me whenever you want.
100%.
Does that hurt your relationship at all? Because I got to a place with my wife where I was totally like, we don't train together. Like she just started training again recently, like 3 weeks ago. But for 10 years, I train by myself. I do cardio in the morning by myself, all that stuff. Like, is it hard for you, Iain, or either one of you can answer? Is it hard for on the relationship when your normalcy changes?
I think what happened, and I don't know if it even has anything to do with like our normalcy. I think Iain started to miss the person that I truly am. I think I'm like, me as a person in my core, I'm a driven, goal-oriented, happy, funny, loud person. You know what I mean? My energy is extremely, it's contagious. It's positive, right?
Yeah.
And I think he missed that. And I honestly had a lot of guilt watching him go through this season and knowing that I wasn't able to be the partner that he deserves and that I want to be for him. But I also, he never once made me feel like I wasn't being enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He never said anything. He still was doing his thing, and I love him for that. I honestly don't think I could have gotten through this without him.
Yeah.
I don't want to cry.
Don't cry. I'm sorry. So, okay, we'll switch. I'll give you a break for 1 second. I want to ask Iain, how was it for you, honestly? Like, obviously you didn't want to add pressure to her by like making her feel bad, but was it a lot harder for the first time? Like, I don't know when the last time you like prepped by yourself.
I can do my own thing. I mean, I can make my food, I can do my cardio, and like I can manage by myself perfectly fine and do that. It's, you know, it really like, it was just hard for me to like watch her go through that more than anything, you know, and like feel like I was kind of like helpless to do anything for her, you know.
Yeah.
And like, even when I try and talk about it with her, it's like she didn't even really know what she felt and what was going on at the time. You know, obviously looking back in hindsight, I think she can analyze it a bit better. But at the time, you know, she really didn't. And for me, like, I kind of felt like paralyzed in that aspect in the relationship where I felt like I couldn't do anything for her, you know? So that was definitely hard. I mean, you know, in terms of my prep, you know, I don't think it affected my prep anything at all. But I mean, you know, from a relationship standpoint, I mean, it was definitely hard to watch her go through it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I want to ask you a more bodybuilding related question. How is it for you? Okay. You're prepping for 4 shows, but you're also a coach, and you coach Chris Bumstead, Melissa's brother. Yeah. And you coach Melissa, but she's not competing right now. But how many clients do you have while you're doing 4 shows? Oh,
during contest season, I never take on more than like 20, 25.
That's still a lot to deal with.
Right now, like during most of the season, I would say for the bulk of the season, I had 15 to 20.
Like I have like 3 when I'm dieting for a show. I'm like, I have 3.
I don't like take on Kate. I'll clarify that. I don't take on 20 that are all doing shows during the season. I have people that stick with me all year round. They might just be an off season or starting, you know, doing a show next year or whatever. Yeah. So, you know, those are obviously less demanding clients, you know, to deal with, right? You know, it's not, but I mean, there was a few weekends, like when I competed in Tampa, I had 2 guys compete that same day that I was competing.
How tough is that?
You just gotta, I mean, it's tough, but for me, especially because like we talked about earlier with the Toronto and the social media thing, I could kind of be a head case with that, you know, and to have something to like keep my energy on and distract me a little bit is kind of nice, you know. Yeah. And when it's like not too many, it's not like 10 clients, it's just 2, you know, so I can kind of, you know, focus on them and invest my energy in them. And then I'm just following whatever my coach is telling me to do, you know. Mm-hmm. So it's like I'm kind of just robotically doing what I need to do, and then I'm doing for them, right?
I see.
So no, I never find it, like I have had 2016, or is it 2017? 2016 I did Toronto Pro. You did 2016 Toronto Pro with me. Your Nathan one? No.
Did I? Oh yeah, it was like, yeah, this year I did like 4 weeks worth of prep.
Yeah.
Like,
So yeah, I did that Toronto Pro, and I had like 14 clients in the amateur show.
Oh my god.
And that was a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
And she competed as well.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I was with her at a professional level, and then I had like 13 or something amateur clients in the amateur show, and that was very difficult.
I couldn't do it.
No, because like the times when you just want to chill in your room, put your feet up, take a fucking nap, you know what I mean? Like just be completely selfish, you know, whatever you want to do. I had people like coming in and out of my room like all day wanting me to look at them, you know, and like I'm too like concerned with what other people think to not put my energy into them over myself. So like I couldn't just be like, yo, fuck off, you know what I mean? I got to show it. And just like, here's your programs, you know, like I couldn't. So it was like I was putting more energy into them than I was myself. And I mean, that was a terrible showing for me. So, and I don't know if I can blame it entirely on the clients. There was probably other, you know,
well, you can. That's a lot of people, man. Like,
it was a lot. And I definitely felt like it was, you know, I definitely wasn't focused in the right ways. And I was, you know, definitely flustered by it all, you
know. I used to try and do that. And I was the guy who was selfish. And I was like, look, just here's your diet. Call me after the show. Let me know what happened. And I realized how rude that was as I got a little older. And I'm like, now I just tell people, look, I'm dieting at this time for a show. If you have a show anywhere near that, I can't help you.
See, this is what I do for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, unless it's guys that I've worked with more, like I wouldn't take a new client and take them on for that camp.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
Those guys I'd worked with before, you know, they knew the jam, you know, they knew the deal. They know it was competing. They, you know, set their expectations around that. And we made things work.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Toronto weekend, I mean, it was, you know,
I can only imagine.
It was like,
it was shitty.
I was just flustered, man. Like I was just super stressed out, like, you know, and I just like really was not like, I was completely in coach mode and not in bodybuilder competing mode. You know what I mean?
People, that's what I keep going back to with the mental focus and the mental mindset. Like you're in your room and people think, well, you're just sitting there anyway. All you gotta do is eat your food and go on stage. And I'm like, no, your phone's blowing up like every 20 minutes with a different client sending you photos or sending you something that went wrong with their own. And then your mind is off worrying about how to fix their problems and not just calm and worrying about your own show. So,
you know, when you have clients that are freaking out and that's stressing you out, because
that's
obviously
right.
You want them to do the best you can because you're kind of partly responsible for their success, right?
Yep.
You know, so when I have you have one or two clients in there, they're like, man, I look like shit, or I'm holding water, blah, blah, blah. Like, can I come to your room and you look at me, you know, and then that starts getting you a little stressed out, you know?
Yeah.
That's really what I felt. I felt like kind of like emotional transference from them to me, you know?
Yeah. So what is on the agenda for you guys? Like, Melissa, are you competing this year, this 2020?
Yeah, I'm going to the Olympia in 2020.
Hopefully so am I. What show are you starting with?
I'm hoping to do Arnold Australia.
Oh, is that your first one you want to do?
Yeah. If not, I'll do something else earlier, and then I'm going to do Toronto Pro too next year.
Can you guys, Iain, you're probably going to go with her to Australia, right?
Depends what I'm doing. I mean, I was thinking of doing Indy, which would have been close, but they moved Indy to May now. So if in that case, no, I wouldn't have gone with her.
I don't even think if Iain is like debuting later, like 2 months later, I would ask him to come with me.
See, this is actually another question I want to get into. How do you guys pick your seat? Like, isn't it easy for you guys to just prep together? Like, wouldn't it be easier for Iain just to do the Arnold Australia? That way you guys can prep together, fly together, do the show together.
We have different goals though.
We agree. I do agree with you, but I'm trying to think of this from a strategic standpoint from my, you know, and I know after the Arnold, you're going to get a lot of guys that are going to go do Australia. I know there's going to be a few guys there I can't beat. For me, my goal is to get to the Olympia. I need to do those and put my energy into shows that I can win. Realistically, I don't think I am at the point right now where I can win the Arnold Australia. Maybe I'll prove it over this offseason, whatever, but I don't think I'm at that level yet.
You also want a bit of a longer offseason.
I want the time, and I also know, especially after this year's Toronto, that I want to fucking win Toronto. I don't want to win Arnold Australia. I don't want to win Indy. I want to win Toronto. And that's really all I care about.
Why do you want to win Toronto so badly?
It's just like, especially after this year, man, it's just like I have like a vendetta against that show. It's nothing against John or like anything. It's just like, you know, I just want to win that show. And I mean, I don't know if it's like a.
What do you mean?
I think it's like a whole.
Yeah, it's just like a historic show in my life, right? You know,
I
like
know it's like a home turf thing, right?
Yeah, I mean that's like the closest show, and I mean, you know, for me in terms of a competitive standpoint, like I feel like I can be the best at that show because I can drive there, I can have all my stuff with me, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I'm not worrying about flying with shit, and like, you know what I mean? It's like it's so much easier to really be focused and dial in for that one. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, I got some, you know, personal thing against that show now, but I really want to.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, I mean, if I was prepping for Toronto and she was going to do Australia, you know, that's pretty far out. Maybe I would go, maybe I wouldn't. But then, like, I'm also paying for, you know, a super expensive plane ticket to go out there. Where when I'm traveling, when I'm competing, that's covered by ANS, right? But if it's just to watch her, you know, I'm paying for a $2,000 plane ticket plus hotel, that kind of stuff. To watch her, it's like it's in terms of managing funds for a long season. It's probably not the best.
I'm not worth it. Okay.
Yeah, Iain, what's wrong with you?
Hey.
No. Okay, so let's put aside your strategic choices for shows for 1 minute.
Sure.
Is it easier for you guys to compete together or separate? I mean, as a couple, like I'm just talking to, so you guys can talk to other couples out there.
Like same show? Or
yeah. Like, is it better if you guys do the same show together? Are you happier, or are you happier when like one person's competing and the other person can?
I'll answer first.
Yeah, let's hear her first.
I don't like doing the same show as Tim. Ian has an extreme emotional response when he's not happy with how he does, okay?
Yeah.
I feel a lot of what Ian feels.
Okay.
So, like, if Ian is upset about how he looks or how he placed or how he posed or something even tiny, I feel it. It's like I feel it really deep and it affects me.
Okay.
So I would rather not compete on the same weekend. I love to prep at the same time. If I have a show one weekend and he has one the next, that's perfect for me. But like same shows, same day, it's a lot.
But you can go through, like you said, the shows are only a week apart, so you're still going through like 10 or 12 weeks of prep together.
Oh yeah,
it's literally just the show day that I find we handle it very differently.
I see.
Whether we enjoy. I mean, then
we handle the same.
Yeah, you're on the
show
same
day,
world.
Very different.
You're on kind of on the same playing field. You know, we get up, we do cardio together. You know, we kind of eat our meals all at the same time. You know, everything's, you know, it's not like I'm coming home eating McDonald's in front of her where she's eating, you know, her like fucking 3 ounces of fish and no carbs, right? So, I mean, you know, in that sense, yeah, you know, that's good. And it's not like someone wants to go out and, you know, eat popcorn at the movies and she can't, you know how it is, right?
I get it, yeah. Yeah,
so, I mean, in that aspect, it's great. And I mean, you know, from an emotional availability standpoint, I think we kind of go to the same place when we're prepping. So we're like, everyone's cool.
No one gets their feelings hurt.
No one gets their feelings hurt. You know, she understands, I understand. It's all good. You know, we've done this enough times. Like,
let me interrupt you for 1 second. When you say that, I just want to interrupt you because, okay, so when me and my wife got together, when you said we kind of know each other and it's all good, does that mean like Iain could be a hothead or Melissa could be a hothead and then you guys just know you're prepping and you walk away from each other?
No, you know what it is? Neither of us really have our hotheads.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing like that. But what happens is the energy that is available is decreased. So for him to be able to be like, "Oh, hi, babe, I love you. You look beautiful."
Yeah.
Those things are like almost extras. There's no more energy. That goes up. And the first time he did a bodybuilding show, I didn't understand. I was like,
well, okay, wait, we need to back up here because
you guys got to back way up actually. Okay, let's just start. Okay, just tell me
when we met, Melissa didn't even work out.
Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I want to ask, let me ask you guys some questions. When did you guys meet? Like, how old were you?
2012.
We were 22.
Okay, so you're not.
Oh, we were
21.
So you're not like high school sweethearts or anything?
No, we've been together for like 7 years. Yeah.
Okay, so, tell me what you're gonna say. When you started, she wasn't training.
So when we started, I had already competed like 3 times. I'd won junior nationals already. So I won junior nationals in 2011. And then we met in 2012.
Okay, but he was retired.
Okay, wait a minute. Why'd you say junior nationals? Are you American?
No, like Canadian nationals as a junior.
Like little baby.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I got lost there, yeah.
As under 21, you know?
Yeah.
Not junior nationals,
Yeah, I got you.
So I had done that in 2011, and then I broke my arm, did the thing to my arm in early 2012. And then after that, I was like, I'm fucking done with competing, you know what I mean? I just wasn't into it at that point.
You literally said you were retired.
Yeah, well, I probably said that because I thought girls didn't like competing, so I said that to obviously what she wanted to hear, not because I was done competing.
Yeah.
So at that point, whether it was factual or not, I don't recall at this time. I had told her, or I was thinking I was done with bodybuilding. So then we, began a relationship 2012, and then 2013 came along, and I think she could kind of feel, I was, watching bodybuilding stuff.
He talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I remember meeting him and, like, talking to him about this strange thing called bodybuilding that I had no idea what the fuck it was.
Did you think he was weird?
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't think he was weird.
Like, in what sense? Like
weird that he liked it?
No, that he wanted to go on stage in a pair of underwear and pose and show.
I really didn't.
Okay.
I was truly fascinated by it.
Okay.
But the way he talked about it, like, you just knew he was in love with this thing. Like, he was so passionate. And I remember saying to him one day, like, why don't you do it again? And he was just like, I don't know. I don't know if I could even be good again. Like, it's just, and I kind of was like, you need to do it again. Like, you need to try. And he was like, I feel like he needed like the smallest push to get
It's
back.
almost like he just needed permission.
Yeah. It wasn't even permission. It was just like.
It wasn't permission.
No, not permission not in a bad way. He just wanted to know that you were okay with it.
Yeah.
And I think he wanted to know that, like, he needed someone to be like, yo, it's okay, you can do this and you'll be good again. Like, just because you broke your arm doesn't mean life is over.
Yeah.
Ian's an old soul. Like, he was 22 and he'd be speaking like, oh, my career's over. we're still
it's all the past.
I was like, we're still babies right now. You're crazy. So then I don't know, he decided to prep for Ottawa's
2013. So like November 2013.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so,
go ahead.
When did you start, Melissa?
Okay, yeah, we got back to that.
Well, I mean, I kind of.
No, okay. So say we started to got together 2012.
Yeah.
I'd say like spring 2013. She started coming to the gym with me like daily.
Working out with him.
Working out with me, like working out like a bodybuilder. Like she was doing like hard training, not like banded glute kickbacks and like box squats. Yeah, I mean at this point she was like significantly strong. She was like squatting 3 plates, deadlifting 3 plates.
Shit.
Benching a plate for reps, no problem. I mean, shoulder pressing like 60s. I mean, and this was in 3 months of training, and no drugs or anything. I don't think at this point. So, it was like, she just, excelled at a crazy rate, right?
Yeah.
So then I decided to do the November 2013 show. And then after I did that, I think then she was kind of like, hey, maybe I'll give this a go. So then she prepared and did Sudbury 2014.
We also, it was rough, the first show he did.
Oh yeah,
that's where we were going in the first place. So
his personality completely changed. I was like,
okay, how did you explain that?
Yeah, let me explain and then
No, I want Melissa to explain how she felt about you competing.
So I went from, I'm not even kidding you, feeling like I was this man's most prized possession. He loved me so much he didn't care if I was alive or not.
Okay, I hadn't competed in a long time.
Extreme hyper focus.
Exactly.
To the show.
It was like I was dieting like so hard and like my mind was just like so in this bodybuilding zone. I literally forgot she existed.
Listen, he doesn't have to justify. It's okay. It's understood now. But
she still married me. So.
I remember we were lying in bed one night and I think I said, like, we don't even cuddle anymore. Like, do you care that I'm here? And he was like, if I could explain it to you, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to touch you, but I really do want you to be here and I want you to be around.
It's true.
I want your presence because I need you around me, but
I just don't want to have a conversation.
I can't talk to you.
Okay, can I tell you, it's so funny you guys say this. So when me and my wife met, it was the exact same thing. She felt like, she told me one day, she's like, I've never felt like this in my life. No guy has ever made me feel like this in my life.
This is exactly, yeah.
And then 6 months later, I was getting ready for a show and she's like, who the fuck are you? And I am the exact same way Iain is. I'm like, I will sit in a room with her and it's like she's not even there. I won't even talk to her. She's like sitting right there.
Yeah.
And it's like we actually broke up because she took it all so personally. She didn't know. She didn't really know. She didn't know. She used to train, but she never had been with a bodybuilder or anything. So
this is one of my friends, like one of my close friends, who was one of my.
We never broke up, but there was one day where we came really, really, really close.
Yeah, and one of my best friends, who was the groomsman, one of my groomsmen at my wedding, had to was after this scenario happened and Melissa left the house, and then I was talking to him, and he calls her, and he's like, hey, like this once the show's over, he'll be back to normal. I swear.
Yeah.
Like he always does this when the shows he's not like, he still loves you. It's just when the show's done, he'll be back to normal. I promise. Yeah. And she's like, I don't fucking care, you know?
Yeah.
Handle in me staying with Iain.
Yeah. It's funny when me and my wife got back together, when we broke up for like a year. She did like 3 shows. And when we got back together, it was so much better because when I competed, she understood. She's like, I get it now. It's okay.
Well, that's why I started.
Yeah.
Because after he did Ottawa's, and I didn't really know much, but I could look at Iain on stage and grasp the fact that this man had extreme potential and that it would be a waste for him not to continue with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I truly thought if I went through another one of these preps with him, like the way it was before, we wouldn't last. And I said that to him after the show. He was like, what should we do? And I was like, I'm never going to tell you not to do this. I will tell you have to do this, but I don't know if we're going to make it.
Yeah.
I had watched the Olympia that year, and I think Nicole Wilkins won.
Yeah, 2013, yeah.
And I was obsessed with her, as every friggin' girl that does figure is. But I said to him, I was like, I think I need to prep with you next year to get it, to have some perspective so I can understand what you're trying to tell me that I can't emotionally feel from you or understand in me. So that's how I picked my first amateur show around when his provincials were the next year, and we prepped together in 2014.
So had you not started competing, you guys might not be together.
I don't think we would have.
Still be together?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, there's a good chance. Yeah.
Well, I just feel the only reason I say that is because I've always said this to people. People are like, I don't get why you're so upset or so whatever. Like, I don't understand why you're in that zone. Like, all you did was reduce your calories and whatever. And I'm like, I can't explain it to you. It's just a different. And I tell people, you just have to do it.
But you know what? I think so early on, I was so sure that he was like my person in life that I would have competed just to get perspective.
Just to figure it out, yeah.
Because we both knew super early on that we were going to be together.
Why?
You're gonna respond now.
No, it's that cheesy thing when you meet someone and you've spent 3 days with them and you feel like you've known them for 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I've ever been so comfortable around another human, let alone man, as I was with him. He
Did you guys
everything and like pulled everything out of me.
Did you guys have a lot of relationships previous to each other?
No.
No.
We each had probably like one serious
relationship.
Yeah.
And then just little short ones, but then one serious one each. Yeah.
So how does life around your house work? Is it who does the cooking? Who throws out the garbage? Is it just normal stuff? Do you guys share everything, or is somebody taking care of the other more?
At this point now, I think we both just cook our own food. I mean, there's some things that during prep sometimes we'll share. Like if I cook a bunch of rice, she'd eat some, or
of course.
But for the most part, no. I mean, but there has been preps where, like I think earlier this year or last year or something, there has been preps where she has cooked the majority of my food for an entire prep. But I think we strayed away from that because I never want to ask her to cook me food. Yeah. Like if there was no food made, I didn't want to be like, hey, can you cook me some rice? Like, cook me some rice. So I would just if there wasn't, I would just cook it myself, and it would just kind of transition to me doing it myself,
Yeah.
But we kind of just we just do that ourselves. In terms of stuff around the house, I mean, I think we both take equal responsibility for stuff. I mean, I would say she does more of the cleaning. I've never done laundry in my life, so
who picks up the dog poop?
I mean, if it's in the house, that's pretty.
You're not supposed to say they go in the house.
But a new puppy. Hey, sorry. Preface that. We just got a new puppy like 3 weeks ago.
Okay. Just tell me outside. Who picks up the dog shit outside?
It's whoever's with the dogs or whoever sees
Listen,
it.
we don't have rules.
Yeah.
Okay. I get it.
Responsibility for your, if you see the dog shit, go pick it up.
We don't have, me and my wife don't have rules. I think we just fell into like these specific roles. Like I do all the cooking.
Yeah.
She takes care of the dog. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't like we planned it that way. It just kind of happened.
I think that probably does work for the average.
Yeah.
couple, but like, he'll take out the dog sometimes. I'll take out the dog sometimes.
Well, especially right now, like because we, like I just said, like our dogs don't shit on the floor. Just the new puppy, okay?
Our house is very clean.
Our house is very clean. The new dog right now, he's kind of like when he wakes up in the morning, because we crate all our dogs at 6:30 in the morning every day. He wakes up and he like needs to go out. He howls like a crazy bat and batshit crazy and wants to go out. So right now, like we just alternate each day. Like if we hear the dog crying, I'll get up. If it's the next day, I'll be like, babe, and she'll get up.
I get it.
Kind of like take turns at it, you know?
So let me ask you this. So you guys are both IFBB pros, but obviously, Melissa, you didn't want to be. What were you guys' aspirations before? You know, that's a crazy story if you think about it. You're an IFBB pro and you didn't want to be. Like that's, you know, other girls are probably really upset by that. But yeah. What did you want to do before the bodybuilding thing came or the figure thing came into your life? Was there something else you went to school for or something else you wanted to do?
University degree.
Yeah, I went to school for neuroscience at Carleton.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, I'm still very, very interested in that field.
What is the job that you would get with neuroscience?
This is the thing. I never had a specific direction. There's tons of things you can do with neuroscience. You can go into medicine. You can go into research. You can go into pharmacology. There's all these things. You can go into addiction. You can go into therapy, psychiatrist. So, like, I never had pinpointed a specific career.
Yeah.
When I started competing, I knew I wanted to finish my degree, but I think it almost, I use it as an excuse to not have to pick a career.
I see. Does it feel, and please don't take this the wrong way, does it feel like a step down going from a neuroscience major to being a figure pro?
No.
Because that seems like it's a pretty significant degree to have.
Yeah. And I don't think that I won't ever use it. I think
okay.
I'm lucky to be in a place right now that I get to do something that is what I'm super passionate about.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's a step down. I still am using my brain every day. It's not like I'm like all of a sudden. No,
like I said, I didn't mean it in a derogatory way. I just meant it like, so you can still do both basically. Like you can still, this is something you're passionate about, but you still can pursue that goal in life if you want to.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a thing with going to university these days. You get an undergraduate degree and you have to go back and get more if you actually want to do something with it. So I graduated last January. I still haven't figured out if I'm going to go back. I'd like to pay off my other degree before I start a new one, you know?
Yeah.
So no, I don't feel like that's gone out of my life yet. So. Okay.
Yeah. And Iain, were you always like bodybuilding centered? Like this is something you always wanted to do?
Yeah. I mean, like, I think I didn't really I think it kind of, like when it came a thing for me, like I didn't really have a lot of direction, and then it was just like something, and I'm like, I put everything into it, you know?
Yeah.
Like from day one. I mean, you know, I went to college after high school, you know, for like a fitness related, you know, field. But that was kind of like always what I was into. But like, you know, I was going through the motions. Like I was doing personal training and, you know, stuff like that, working at, you know, corporate gyms and stuff like that, and working at supplement stores, you know, like a lot of people do when they start in this. But, you know, once I made the decision that this is what I want to do, like that's what I did, you know?
Yeah. I was kind of the same way. I was in school, but I didn't finish. Did you finish university or college?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
You decided to just go into the bodybuilding thing.
Like I was two years into it. And then like, once like the bodybuilding, I was like, this is what I'm doing. Then I was like, fuck school. This is what I'm doing. We
have the same story. It was like exactly 2 years. And I was like, okay, I'm out. Yeah. I just want to be a bodybuilder. That's all I want to do.
That's it. Yeah.
So you didn't have a plan B. Is that because I attribute, people ask me sometimes like because I only started bodybuilding when I was 20. So it was kind of fast for me. Mm-hmm. Well, not as fast as you. You turned pro at like 23 or something, didn't you?
Yeah, 22 or 23. Yeah, 23.
Okay, well, I thought it was fast. I thought it was fast for me at the time, but I always attributed it to not having a plan B.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Just putting everything into this one thing and kind of making it happen. Is that kind of how you feel about it? Like you just had no other?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, it was just like, that was the only thing in my mind. There was no like, oh, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to, go back to school, or I'm going to do this. It was like, this is going to work, and this is what I'm going to do. It's like, there was not even another thought, I didn't even think like a plan B now.
I have some quick hitter questions I want to ask you about that people kind of like. So I don't know if you guys seem like you could probably have a relationship that's not very tumultuous. So I don't know if this is going to work, but I want to know how often Iain sleeps on the couch.
Never.
Zero.
Do you guys fight? Because please tell me you fight at least sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No, because I had Steve Kuklo on, and he was like, I asked him how often, like if him and Amanda fight, and he's like, no, we never fight. And I'm like, oh, this is so boring. I'm like, I fight all the time.
No, we fight. I mean,
we fight.
we have normal fights about stupid shit, or
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. I mean, we had a fight last week or 2 weeks ago. That was like reasonably significant. I mean, normal shit. But no, I don't think.
Listen, I've slept in the guest bedroom before.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. How often does that happen?
That's like.
Okay, so
You never go to bed.
Iain doesn't like to, like, the rule for Iain is like we always sleep in the same bed no matter what. Okay.
Even if you're fuming.
Yes.
Okay, we usually don't go to bed mad. That's only happened like maybe 3 times.
5 times.
Okay, 3 to 5 times.
I think the truth is probably somewhere a little up from that.
So,
Yeah.
so, a few times that's happened where we've gone to bed angry, and whatever the argument wasn't resolved that day.
Iain still wants to sleep in the same bed when the
No.
argument, and I can't do it. I need to sleep somewhere else, or else I can't fall asleep. Okay.
Yeah, that's how I am.
So, but he doesn't like it. So he'll come in the middle of the night and be like, "What are you doing? Come back."
Yeah, I'll go in, because usually she'll be in the bed, and then I'll just get in bed, and then I'll wake up in the middle of the night. She's gone.
She's pissed. She's pissed off at you.
Yeah, see, that's how it happens. It's like she always goes to bed before me, so she'll go to bed in our bedroom, and then I'll get into bed and fall asleep, and then I'll wake up to take a piss at 3 o'clock in the morning, and she's gone. I'm like, I walk to the guest room. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing in here? And she's like,
Yeah.
I'm like, get the fuck back into bed. And she's like, no. So I'm like, usually she'll get up and come back, and she's half asleep, and she's not mad at that point. So she'll come back and into the bed. But
I learned in our relationship, I used to be like, if we fought, I would have to fight until the fight was over.
Me too. That's me.
Yeah, but I learned it was probably a little later on, like 32, 33, maybe I learned this is not working, because sometimes the fights will just carry on. It's like 4 a.m. and you're still fighting. And I'm like,
it's also like when you're trying to keep the fight going to resolve it, sometimes that itself makes it never resolve.
Yeah, it makes it worse.
It's like, let's chill. When she's ready, or whenever, when people have kind of calmed down, then things will resolve themselves. But I mean, sometimes I push it too hard to want to resolve it, and it just makes it worse,
I found, honestly, me and my wife are in such a good place that way. It's like, if we fight, she will literally just go upstairs and go to sleep.
Yeah.
And I'll just either sleep on the couch in the basement, or I'll sleep in the guest room or something. But it's weird. It's like when we wake up in the morning, it's like we didn't even fight.
Yeah.
We're just we're over it. Like we slept it off kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's just I don't know. I stopped doing that whole thing where I'm like, no, we got to fix it.
Yeah, we had to learn that, because I think I'm very much a space person. I don't like to talk when things are heated. I think it's stupid.
But then it makes me mad, because
he doesn't like when I walk away from fights.
Yeah, I get mad at that.
I get pissed off at that too.
So angry. So we had to learn how, and he's a lot better now. I think he sometimes will catch himself, and he'll be like, okay, you know what, let her go.
Yeah.
And you're right, it's a lot better.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always been so emotional about, if there's a fight going on, it's like I have to fix it, and I would never ever could. I don't know how I got to this place where I just let her go now. She'll just go. She's like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I'm going upstairs. Yeah. And I just let her go. And somehow, I don't even know how it happens, we both wake up in the morning and we realize whatever we're fighting about is ridiculous. And we just don't care anymore. We're like, okay, whatever.
That's usually, we'll go to bed. If we do go to bed mad, we'll wake up in the morning, we kind of look at each other, or kind of smile or laugh a bit, and they're like, okay, fuck, it's fine.
I think there's a thing where you realize no matter what happens, you're probably never going to leave this person.
Yeah.
So it makes whatever fight you're having just completely insignificant.
Yes.
Yeah, but sometimes when you're so mad, it's so hard to sit up.
I know.
You're like, and then you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh yeah, this is our life. So like, what's the point of this fucking argument?
That's what I mean. Like, you're like, okay, well, you're not going anywhere and I'm not going anywhere. So yeah.
100%.
You know what? What do you guys do? Okay, so you're both competitors. Do you guys drink? Do you guys go to bars? Do you do anything like that, or is it more like movie night?
She'll go drink with her girlfriends and stuff, like, you know, drink wine with her girlfriends. I'm not much of a drinker.
I tried to get him drunk, but it never works. So.
Why?
Because he doesn't drink alcohol.
And even when I do drink, like,
he's too good for it.
Even when I do start drinking, I'll drink like 2 drinks and then I just like get sidetracked and I just like, you know, it's like I never get into it enough to like keep going with it. I mean, there might be like 2 times a year where I'll get like buckled, but other than that, that's
yeah.
it.
Our birthdays every year.
Because our birthdays are a week apart, so we like.
Oh, really?
Friends, we always celebrate kind of like all together.
Yeah.
And it's the birthdays are end of November, beginning of December, so it's never competition season.
Yeah.
So that's probably the only time once a year when Iain will actually
that's it usually. Yeah.
Get litty.
And then last year, obviously, we got married. I had my bachelor party. I mean, stuff like that. My bachelor party, I was drunk for 2 days straight and stuff like that. And the wedding, I drank on the wedding. But I mean, yeah, no. Other than that, maybe once a year.
Together, we like to go to the movies. We do that a lot. We go out to dinner a lot.
And we have other friends that are like, you know, one of them competes, one doesn't. You know, we go over there and, you know, eat food, hang out with their kid. You know, go see movies with them, have a barbecue, that kind of shit. You know?
Yeah.
So I have a couple more questions before I let you guys go. One is for Iain. How do you stay shredded all the time? Dude, I've never seen you like out of shape. So is your diet, I just want to know about your diet. Is it like, are you one of these guys who's like counting every calorie all year round, or are you just genetically blessed that way?
No, I stay on diet all year round. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
okay, but he's not like, listen, I've seen bodybuilders, for example, Roman Fritz, that are like crazy.
Yeah, well, no one's like.
Yeah, no, I'm not like that.
No, but Iain is a balance of staying on diet and being blessed. That he could probably eat McDonald's twice a week and eat all his 6 other meals, and he would still stay shredded. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it depends. I mean, like last offseason, I think I got the most out of shape I'd been. Which probably had something to do with, you know, Toronto. I had to really push hard to get in shape for that one and kind of maybe had that tired look.
Yeah.
I think, I definitely don't ever, there's never a point in my life where I just like wake up and just like eat whatever I want. Like I've never had that. Like if it is like I have a meal out, like I'll eat 5 good meals and then I'll go out and eat one shitty 6th meal. Like, you know what I mean? Like I eat on diet, like measured good meals all year round. You know, this year especially, I've been doing cardio like 25, 30 minutes every day, you know.
So you don't have a day where you just say, fuck it all, and you just eat whatever you want all day long?
I haven't done that in...
He would have an anxiety attack.
I haven't done that in 15 years.
Are you serious?
No.
I did that.
Where I ate at least like 4 structured, clean bodybuilder meals, at least 4 in over 10 years.
I think for the first 10 years of my career, every Sunday was just a day off.
I can't.
Like it was just as much crap as possible.
I just can't. Like I'll mentally crumble if I do that.
I think me and Melissa have the same eating habits.
Oh yeah, a lot like you and I eating. I think like
what?
I mean, one, a very emotional eater, and 2, like she can just like let it go like at the drop of the hat. I can't do that.
Are you? Did you say you are an emotional eater, Melissa?
Yes,
I totally am too. Like if I'm upset, like if me and my wife get in a fight, she will go away and not eat for like 4 hours, and I'm like off my diet.
I don't eat when we fight or when I'm stressed.
Well, not when we fight, but you know what I mean.
Tired.
Yeah.
Or like a bit sad. Oh my God, I'm gonna just like I can't.
See, I'm the opposite. If I'm like stressed or sad, I would be like, I find it harder to eat. Like I never miss meals, but like I don't want to eat. You know.
Yeah.
Another way, like if I'm like upset, like I'll just be like, oh fuck, I gotta eat. You know, like I don't want to. And like I'm sad, I just want to like lay in bed. You know, where she'll like be getting like snacking little things or
yeah.
Bake cookies.
She bakes cookies and ice cream.
What's your go-to cheat when you do cheat, Iain?
Me? I mean, I love anything ice cream. So for sure, like if I'm gonna eat a meal, like say I'm gonna go out and have like a burger and fries or something, like go eat Five Guys or McDonald's or something like that, I'm always gonna like stop Dairy Queen get a Blizzard, or like we live in a little like kind of like rural community where we live now. And they have like a local like creamery here that makes their own ice cream. That's like the best ice cream you've ever had. So since we moved here, that's definitely like my go-to now,
Okay. And Melissa, I don't know if I should, is there one cheat meal you can pick? For those of you, is there one that you like, or is it just like you need a block of time to just have all your favorites?
Oh God.
Yeah, if you could just pick one.
If I had to pick one? Wait, like, do I get to pick a meal and dessert?
Sure.
You don't have to pick one. You can just tell people the truth. Like, just you're like me, and you just need a block of like 2 or 3 hours.
I am an extreme foodaholic. Like, it's a problem. Okay.
How often does that happen? How often does that happen?
Okay, so I honestly would say the normal Melissa probably once a week.
Yeah.
The Melissa for the last 6 months, 4 days a week.
Yeah.
I just started kind of like actually following a meal
The last
plan.
like month or so you've been.
And it's made a really big difference. But after the Arnold, I just didn't even want to see a diet plan or a meal plan for the rest of my life, right?
Yeah.
So when I don't have that, it's really bad because I probably won't eat until 4 o'clock, and then at 4 o'clock I start like eating a bag of chips or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well that's what she does, because if she eats crappy the day before, she wakes up and doesn't want to eat because she thinks if she doesn't eat, like it'll make it all better.
I know.
So then she'll wait till like later in the day, and then at that point she's so hungry she just does it over again. So it's like,
oh my God, I think me and you are exactly the same. I do exactly.
It's actually the worst habit.
I know.
you haven't named any foods yet.
I mean, I like to eat chocolate chip pancakes. I like to eat hamburgers. I like to eat sushi. I like pizza.
Yeah.
I like nachos a lot. I like French fries. I like
We should all hang out, and then me and Melissa can just eat, and you and my wife can sit there and eat like normal food.
Yeah.
No,
don't look at us while we eat.
Is there anything you guys any message you want to put out there? Anything before we have a lot to talk? There's more stuff I want to talk to you guys about, but it's been like an hour. So, is there anything you guys want to say or a message you want to put out there before I kind of let you guys go?
You're better for that kind of stuff than me.
I mean, I think over the last year, I've experienced a lot of emotional ups and downs. And I want people to know that everyone goes through that shit, that you can even see someone that looks perfect on Instagram, or she's an IFBB Pro, or she won the Olympia, or whatever you see. I think everyone experiences these lows, and I honestly believe that you have the capability and the control to pull yourself out and change your circumstances.
Yeah.
So that's probably like the biggest thing that I've learned and that I think people need to know.
I think that's really important. I think that's why I'm always telling people about little injuries here and there, or whatever is going on with me, because I don't think people realize, like, when they see a picture of Iain or they see a picture of you and you guys are like, in perfect shape, I don't think they realize there's stuff going on behind the scenes that they don't think about.
Yeah, totally.
So,
fight.
And we fight like everybody else.
Yes.
Except for Steve Tucko, because he doesn't fight.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, fuck you, Steve. You fight. Hey, was Amanda on the show with him?
No, that's
why. I want to
why.
hear her side. I want to hear her side.
She would say the same.
You think she'd say the same?
Yeah.
I think I actually believe them. Believe it or not, I think I actually believe him.
We were at the gym. Remember the people at the gym?
They seem very
we were talking to some older couple at the gym, and they were like, he was some French guy, and he was talking to Melissa and I, and he was saying that it was, him and his wife had been together for what, 40 years or something?
30 years, yeah.
35 years. And he's like, we've
had
never had a fight. 35 years, we've never had one fight. I looked at him like, go fuck yourself. Like, we had a fight like 2 weeks in.
Yeah.
We literally had a fight 2 weeks into dating. Like, and you're talking, you've been 35 years and you haven't had one?
Yeah.
And he was like, no, I never had a fight in 35 years,
In that guy's defense, Iain, I think me and you are a little more like fiery than the average person.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you guys are passionate.
He was a very he's a very mellow, like kind of,
yeah,
like Buddha-y kind of guy. Just like a very what's the word I'm looking for?
He's chill.
Zen, he's very zen.
Very like Zen kind of like chill guy. I'm certainly not.
You know what? Actually, now that I do have another question, just because you're so amped up. I want to get it out before you go. How do you feel about some of the nonsense shit you see on YouTube and Instagram, as far as like dosages or like as far as protocols? Being a coach, does that drive you insane?
Yeah, it does, and it's even more frustrating when you get like, I'm sure you get clients that come to you and you're like, hey, tell me what you've been taking, you know, and they're like, they tell you the shit they've been taking, and it's like twice as much as you've ever taken, and you're like, man, where are you? And they get this from, you know, watching guys on YouTube or online, and they think this is what is just normal. So when then you're like, hey, like let's bring it down, they're like, well, I can't go down, you know, I'm never going to improve if I take this. So I mean, yeah, it's super frustrating. I mean, you know, I think the social media and like the internet and stuff has been like a blessing and a curse, I think, in bodybuilding, you know, because it's given a lot of people a voice, but it's also given a lot of people that shouldn't have a fucking voice, you know what I mean? And people like to, you know, now spread this information that's obviously nonsense. Yeah. And then you just get like this cyclical of everyone thinks, you know, that this is what guys are doing and this is what we need to do to be at that level. And girls.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked to a girl recently that was talking to Melissa, and she was saying, because she thought Melissa took injectable tests, that she was going to take injectable tests. And we're like, yo, Melissa's never taken any injections of any kind. Like, what are you doing? This is like an amateur level 1 figure competitor.
Yeah, yeah.
We're talking about how she's shooting test propanate, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, you're out of your mind. And she's doing this because this is what she thinks girls at this level are taking, you know?
Yeah. Well, because you have shitty coaches out there that don't really know how to get somebody in shape without filling them full of drugs.
But don't you think that like that's the problem, that like people are, I don't know if they're like lazy or they're looking for like a quick answer, and instead of like looking at someone that has a great physique and thinking like, oh, they must work really hard and have good genetics, they think, oh no, they're on a whole bunch of gear.
Well, no, but I think what happens, what I meant by it, well, I agree with what you're saying, but what I meant by it was sometimes you'll get a coach that has X amount of girls, right? Like they'll have like 30 girls and they've been doing well and they're all winning and they're all this, and they'll all of a sudden whatever they're doing seems to be the thing. But that coach is his girls are only in shape because he's giving them a ton of drugs.
Yeah.
So then all the girls that come there after start to think, well, I guess that's the way it has to be.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that guy only got successful because he's filling girls with GH and Tren. And I heard of a girl doing Tren. I'm like, this girl's doing injectable Tren. I'm like, this is it's insane.
Crazy. Yeah.
So I have a personal question for you though about this topic. Do you go, okay, I know you go off. Do you go all the way off, or do you do like TRT dose off?
No, right now, like since Tampa, I've been completely off.
Okay, when you go,
I've done it in the past where like I have stayed on, done a TRT dose and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, if like depending on what the timing for the shows is, you know, if like I did an off season, I kind of like have to hop into a prep quick, where it's probably more beneficial not to like come down for 4 weeks and back, you know.
Yeah.
So there's been instances like that, but no, like right now I've come completely off, and I'll do that, and I've been doing like a detox diet and stuff to kind of coordinate with it, and then I'll start my off season after that. How
often do you go off in 1 year? Do you do it once or twice or 3 times, or how many times?
Like completely off for a good chunk one time.
Yeah.
And then I'll have like smaller breaks in between, but it depends. Like, I mean, you know, I started prepping for Toronto in March, and I've been competing since then, right? So I mean, I had, basically show after show. So no, I never came off.
You can't.
There was times where like I'd pull some things and add some things, like obviously, some of the orals and stuff I'd take out for a few weeks, and the Tren I'd take out, or, stuff like this that would kind of come in and out if I had like a few weeks to spare between shows.
Yeah.
When the season's done, then I come completely off. I'll make sure I, clean up, get my blood work done, all that. And then what I'll do is probably do my off season, and then I'll probably do another small break, come off everything there before I start prep again.
Do you work with Matt Jansen still, or no?
No.
Who are you working with now?
Patrick Tour.
How long have you been working with him?
Since 12 days before Tampa.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How did that happen? Do you want to get into it? If you don't want to get into it, you don't have to.
I'll get into it. I mean,
it's better to have the truth out there instead of speculation.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't even know. Actually, I think somebody told me about this, but I didn't know why.
I mean, it was just. Do you want to answer this, or should I answer? I don't know if I can.
If you don't have to answer if you don't want to.
No, I don't know if I'm like honest with my answer enough. Like, okay, this.
Just
season,
tell me your side of the story. It's fine.
So with this season, obviously there was a lot of like, ups and downs, like with the Toronto and with the Portugal and stuff like that. There was Vancouver, which is great. And I mean, I worked with Matt for 3.5 years. I mean, I have nothing but awesome things to say about Matt as a person and as a coach. And I mean, obviously, since what's happened, I hope Matt would still consider me a close friend as I would him. So I don't have anything ill to say in that manner, but it was, you know, it was just like a lot of like, what ifs this season, you know?
Yeah.
It was like, you know, showings where it was like, you know, if we'd done this a little differently, I could have won Toronto. If we'd done this a little differently, I could have done.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
There's a lot of like what ifs, you know, and it was like, it seemed like there was like a lot of like guesswork going into these shows when we, you know, when there didn't need to be, you know, and it was just like inconsistency in like in my showings when we already, I figured like we should have figured this out by now, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and like last year I had an awesome season. We got better every show. We learned lots. You know, I had a good Olympia showing. We improved over the off season, and, you know, I'll take a bit of the blame on me. Like this going into this season, like we talked about, I think I had a lot of self-doubt, which made it hard for Matt to do his job effectively. And, you know, there was days where like, I didn't feel like I looked good and I didn't want to send updates because I was like, I look like shit. I don't want to send an update, you know?
Yeah.
But like, I obviously didn't make his job easy for him, you know? But it was just like, I just left this season or after Portugal, which was kind of like the last show I worked with Matt. It was just like, I felt like I need to try something different to like know if I'm wasting these shows or not, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like, I just felt like, you know, I'd see myself in the gym and take certain photos. And like, I just knew I had so much more in the tank than what some of these shows showed, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'd see myself at certain parts during prep or, you know, 3 days out or 5 days out, you know, I was like, man, like I can win these shows. And then like when, you know, the last minute we do things and it was just like, it wouldn't quite render onto stage, you know?
Yeah.
So it was like, you know, maybe I'll work with Patrick for a year and I'll have the same thing and maybe it's just me. I don't know. But like, if I don't try and I don't go somewhere else and try with someone else and get a different kind of input, you know, and different set of eyes on this, I'll sit there wondering what if forever, you know?
There's also like a level of profession. I don't even know how to say that.
Professionalism.
Yeah, that comes with working with someone that you don't have a personal relationship with.
Oh, I agree. 100%.
I mean, I am coached by my husband. If Iain looks at me and says, I need photos, and I say, I don't feel like doing it right now.
Yeah.
It usually doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It was the same with Iain and Matt. And Iain needs someone that he's almost a bit fearful to say no to or fearful to
upset.
Well, it's just not a friend, so it's more professional. Like, yeah.
And to be honest, I think Iain can read people very well. So if he feels that someone is hesitant, or I don't want to say guessing because I don't want to put down Matt's work, but
yeah.
Patrick,
unsure.
Patrick before Tampa was like, yes, I will take you. Yes, I know what to change. Yes, we can be better. Yes, I got you, man. Let's do this. And it was a completely different 2 weeks.
Well, people ask me all the time, like, who's the best coach out there? And I say, there's no such thing. It's the best coach for the person.
Different for
and
everyone.
As mine and Matt's personal relationship developed and like other things, I think certain things declined in the coaching relationship.
Yeah.
You know, I think, you know, last year, so not to say last year we were still very good friends and I had a very good season. I don't think that's it. But I think, you know, from my end, like from his end, it was like certain things were like just let to slide. And for me, I did them like that, you know, like not sending photos or stuff like that. Or, you know, updates or being like a little, you know, having some self-doubt and, you know, doubting him in certain aspects, you know, that maybe we should be doing, you know, and kind of questioning things. You know, so I don't think it's all because of the personal relationship development. I think, you know, it was just time for a change, you know?
Yeah. What do you guys, I want to ask you guys if you guys have any advice for any couples out there that are in the same situation you're in, as far as like competing together and they're kind of doing this whole thing together. Do you have any last like advice you want to give out? Because I know a lot of people struggle with this. You know, your guys' relationship, I've only seen it go one of two ways. I either see it end in disaster, like really early on, or it's like you guys. So, but it's oftentimes more than not, it's usually if two people are both competing, I just don't see it end well. So do you guys have any advice for those people who are in that situation?
You can go first on that.
I think you need to communicate. I think you need to give each other grace in terms of feeling neglected. You know what I mean? I think you need to learn to not take things personally. And I think you just need to remember that your partner loves you and show your partner that you love them throughout this.
Yeah, I think there just needs to be, I think going into a prep without a certain level of trust kind of built up before it will make it very difficult. You know?
I agree.
I think when we started to really like get into the groove of things really working with us prepping together and stuff, there was just like a certain level of trust and respect that had already been built, you know?
Super strong foundation.
Yeah, super strong foundation. So like, you know, when it was like, you know, maybe she's not as affectionate towards me or I'm not towards her, there's still that trust that I know that she still loves me and wants to be with me no matter what. And the same goes for me towards her.
I see what you're saying. So sorry to interrupt you. I just want to, so you think, let's say you guys met and you have a show in a month.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not going to end well.
No.
Like I'm just saying, like that foundation doesn't have time to be built.
I've seen a lot of couples that start either in the midst of them both prepping or in the midst of one of them prepping, and it never lasts.
No, yeah.
I think a lot of things too that are making it very difficult for people that compete together now is just like that this social media generation I think is very difficult on relationships, you know?
Yeah.
Especially if when a relationship and the trust isn't built and there's maybe a little bit of insecurity there.
Yeah.
You know, it's like some guy's dating a girl and she's posting her pictures in her posing suit, or, you know, he's having, you know, girls watch his Instagram stories or whatever it is. I think if you don't have a strong foundation, I think things like that can really be detrimental to it. If you don't have that trust built and you're not 100% secure in it, you know? I think that's where we see a lot of people, you know, new relationships fail is, you know, that insecurity, especially in this world, you know, and competing. I think everyone's got some kind of insecurities here. I think everyone everywhere does, but especially in this world, you know, you know, and I think the social media world kind of exasperates that and can bring it into the relationship for people, you know?
Yeah. I think it's probably one of the most important things I've ever heard anybody say about fitness industry relationships. If you just give it time to grow before you actually compete, you probably have a better chance of lasting. It makes so much sense. I've never heard that.
Early, but you know, I think we were lucky because we knew very early on. So she was, you know, and this is 100% credit to her, not to me, that she was willing to push through that first one, you know, or first two to, you know, and also was willing to try it for herself because she knew she wanted to be with me, and that she was, you know, willing to go out on a limb and try this for herself to have a better understanding. But if that person's not going to do that, I think you at least need to have that foundation of trust and respect built so that you understand that, you know, even if there is a temporary change in someone's demeanor, that it's not personal to you and that they still love you and, you know, they still want to be with you, and that they're just doing it because of, you know, an immediate goal and that they're still there for you, you know?
Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense. I think people are going to love this podcast. I think people got a lot of information out of you guys. I appreciate you guys coming on. If I want you guys to come on another day, how do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
This was fun. I'll do it.
I think so too. It's actually like one of my favorites because I've never had a couple on, so it's like it's kind of cool to like hear your guys' stories and shit. So, I appreciate you guys taking the time. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
thanks for having us. Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Yeah, we'll see you, dude.
Thank you.